It's Fans Corner. Welcome to it, and thank you so much for making time for us. It's the Betway Premiership. We've just watched Kaizer Chiefs against Stellenbosch FC down at the FNB Stadium. That game ending in 2-1, favoring Kaizer Chiefs, coming back from a goal down to winning the game and collecting 3 points, moving to 5th on the PSL log. And crowd attendance was not the best. Poor crowd attendance, the nature of the game, the category of the game, the day of the week. You know, the stadium, FNB Stadium, is a huge stadium. It's not easy to pick it up. But shout out to the people who made time to go to the stadium. You are our foot soldiers out there. Okay, the first thing is the starting 11. The Kaizer Chiefs starting 11 got a whole lot of people talking at the beginning of the game. We saw Kaizer Chiefs going with 5 defenders in the starting 11. But I think if you watched the game, you kind of had an idea of what Kaizer Chiefs were trying to do. It was looking like a 5-3-2, and then at some point when Chiefs are on the ball, it would look like a 3-5-2. You know, they would leave the clock where Miguel and Dotley at the back, and then you'd have Cross and Blom pushing forward. And that's why you saw the first chance that Kaizer Chiefs had, the missed beautiful chance that Bradley Cross missed, is because he was able to move up front, because he has enough backup at the back. So yeah, I think that was the attempt from Nabi, and I have to give credit to Coach Nabi for trying something different, because for the past a number of games we've seen Kaizer Chiefs coming with a very predictable starting 11, and we knew what they were going to do, and they did what was predictable, and the results were not coming. So I think he was brave enough to start a different starting 11, which unfortunately didn't work out. And I have to say, I felt so bad for Bradley Cross. Firstly, for missing that opportunity. I have a soft spot for him, so I like him a lot. Sometimes even his mistakes, I tend to be oblivious to some of his mistakes. That's a personal preference for me, but I know he had a bad game. It happens, and I'm happy with the way the coach and the coaching staff handled the substitutions afterwards. But he had a terrible game, unfortunately. He just came back from injury anyway, so he's not really at his best at this moment. I know I'm sounding like I'm making excuses for him, but yeah, he didn't have a good game. And again, firstly, I said shout out to Nabi for making for starting a starting 11, which is unusual, which gives the opponents something to think about, because they've seen Chiefs playing different compared to what they saw today. Also, shout out to Chiefs for him. Shout out to Nabi again for being brave enough to make the substitutions early enough. You know, it's unusual to have substitutions made before the half-hour mark. I mean, the substitutions were done around the 27th minute or so, where we saw Cross coming out together with Dupree also coming out, and then Chiefs resorting back to playing some sort of a 4-3-3 again, which kind of stabilized the team, because honestly speaking, the system would have worked. I think against any other coach, the system could have worked. Unfortunately, he tried it against a coach who's very smart in Steve Barker. Steve Barker is an amazing coach. I rate him so high. I think right now in the PSL, he's probably the second best coach in that league, behind the Pirates coach. I think I'd put the Pirates coach above every other coach in the current PSL coaches. And then he'd be followed by Steve Barker. Steve Barker was able to read that starting 11, and he was kind of able to understand what Chiefs were going to try and do. And he tried to close down, to press them high up there, to make sure that they create, they cause mistakes and punish. And that's what they did. You know, Stellenbosch didn't allow Chiefs to stay so much on the ball. You know, when you have that kind of a lineup, you know, this is a coach who's trying to make sure that they put as many people behind the ball as possible. So you can't sit back when you're playing against a team like that, I think. And then that's what Steve Barker decided to do. So we're not going to sit back. I mean, they have a lot of defensive players. Let's go and attack them. So that's what they did. And they pressed them. They really pressed them. And Stellenbosch are very good with this thing of breaking quick. You know, they're quite good. I've seen a number of games where they break very quick. They're very good at that. So I think I have to also give Steve Barker credit for doing what he did. The goal that Chiefs conceded was a cheap goal. Bradley Cross After missing the opportunity that he did, I think he was so down. You could see, man, when you watch the game, he kept on shaking his head to show that his dissatisfaction with the miss that he had earlier on. And I don't think after that he was just down. And I think Nabi did a good thing by taking him out, and the way he handled the situation, like I said. They tried to play it at the back. And because you're playing so many defensive players, obviously you'd expect them to try to play it from the back and move it forward. So they tried that, and you can see that it's not something that Chiefs are very comfortable with. They're used to the pacey game of just skipping the middle field and going straight to the flanks and trying to attack. So this one is something new, and maybe they haven't really prepared enough of that. So, and we lost the ball, and Stellenbosch punished us. He was struggling, Bradley Cross, to handle Titus. But after he was taken out, and then we saw Potsane coming in on the left flank, and then you saw De Klokwe now being the one who's trusted to handle the left-hand side, which is the right flank of Stellenbosch. And that's when you started seeing a little bit of stability. Chiefs started playing better. The goal was scored. The equalizer by Wandile Duba was scored before the substitution, but after that, the substitutions plus the goal kind of brought stability to the Kaizer Chiefs team. And in the second half, I think we played much better. Not the best of football, you can see, because it's not the usual starting 11. If there's anything that we have to give credit Nabi to give Nabi credit for, is number one, being brave, starting a different lineup. Number two, making those changes early enough before the damage was done. Number three, you have to give credit to Nabi for giving as many players opportunities as possible. We've seen so many players given a chance at Kaizer Chiefs. I even forgot we had George Matlow. I saw George Matlow today, and I was so happy because one of my favorite players, who I think has a massive potential. Unfortunately, he struggled with some injuries, if I'm not mistaken. But it's another game again where we are saved by a 20-year-old. These youngsters are saving us day in, day out. I'm happy for Wandile Duba for his brace. He was also selected as the man of the match. I think if I was to choose man of the match, I would have gone for De Klokwe, because I think De Klokwe, after we conceded the goal, he came and showed his maturity. He's also one of the players who is very composed on the ball. He doesn't just you remember last week I complained about in the last game I complained that the back four kept on throwing giving the ball away. Every time they win it, they just kick it away. But De Klokwe this time around, he was on the ball. Whenever he was on the ball, he was composed, took his time, made the right decision, took the right pass. Also, Mteto, and Ox Mteto, I was impressed with him. I think there was a time where I think he was almost loaned out, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but there were rumors that he was going to be loaned out. Remember, there was a time he wasn't playing, and at that time we heard that he was going to be loaned out to Magesi, if I'm not mistaken. Lord, am I glad that did not happen, because now we are starting to see the Mteto that we actually signed from Stellenbosch. I'm happy with him. I think we are looking better. Still a lot to work on. There's still a lot to work on. The left and the right back, there's a lot to be worked on. Even though I love Bradley Cross, we still need to solidify that position. We are conceding goals. Miguel and Dotley, I don't know whether we should try another combination of centre backs there, because I think we're conceding unnecessary goals. Miguel sometimes gives players space unnecessarily, and he's so easy to turn over. You know, players find it easy to turn him around. You know, so I think maybe that's another area where the coach should also look at giving other players a chance. So I think the biggest problem is that we're creating a lot of chances, converting some of them, but we're conceding a whole lot of unnecessary goals. So I think the potential is there, and I'm happy with how brave Nabi was with this particular game. I think going forward, it is something that he should try. Even this starting 11 that he did today, I think he should try it again in another game. It could work. It's just that we came across a very smart coach in Steve Barker today. Otherwise, it wasn't the greatest of game. It was enjoyable to watch, but you could pick up the few potentials here and there. Stellenbosch are a very good team. Unfortunately, right now they're playing so many games. They're playing a whole lot of games with the confederations, the CAF Confederations Cup as well that they're playing. I don't think their squad depth allows them to be as effective as they could be in the league. So that's why they find themselves in the position where they are in. I think Steve Barker, given the right squad depth, he probably should be up there, just behind Pirates and Sundowns. I think he's a good coach. I'm happy with the 3 points, and I'd like to see more of this bravery from Chiefs. We saw the pace that I said was it uncontrolled last time in the previous game. Today it was a little bit more controlled, so it shows signs of progress to show that we may have learned from our mistakes from the previous game. Thank you so much for making time for us. This has been Fans Corner. Remember to click the subscribe button on the Off-Air Podcast, which is the platform that gives you Fans Corner. We meet again in the next one.